Welcome to the Tuesday Weekend, our podcast about bars, restaurants, and the industry that can have you laughing with a group of people 1 minute, getting full-lung yelled at by somebody the next, and expect to go back and laugh with the first group afterwards. True story, it happened to me this past Saturday. I am your host, Josh Hobson. With me are your bartender for the evening, Nick Parkin. Welcome, Nick. How's it going?
Going well. I've got Dodgers weekend coming up. It's going to be a fantastic weekend with Dodgers fans for 4 days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
4-game series against the Padres. There you go. And taking a break from churning ice cream, Trae Derica. Trae, how are you today?
I am well.
I know you have a bunch of coffee roasting experience, and you're currently running an ice cream shop. Have you ever considered roasting ice cream?
No, never.
That makes sense, sure. Okay, so today's episode is on the menu. I think today's going to be a little bit of a crap sandwich. We're going to start with some of the fun stuff, get in just a thin layer of the math part, which cannot be ignored, and then get back to the higher calorie content stuff. There are all sorts of reasons to create menus. You're opening a new restaurant or bar, you have a special event, or making seasonal changes, and it can be fun, or it can be intimidating, usually both. And starting a menu from scratch itself can be a daunting task, whether you are just setting a seasonal menu or you're a food truck trying to balance what you want to offer with the limited cooking and storage space available, or maybe you're a chef that finally has achieved your dream of opening a kitchen all of your own. First, let's start with our own experience writing menus, because I don't know, there was that one night in Brooklyn where I just couldn't sleep, so I wrote a brunch menu, and it's pretty solid. I would still present that today, even though it's, 13, 14 years ago now. What have been some of your experiences in menu creation?
I'm going to punt to Nick because, humorously enough, I have not actually had a heck of a lot of menu creation so much as menu execution and costing experience.
We're going to get back to that part in a minute. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so that's why I'm going to step back and have a good listen to y'all, because I only created one menu to try and get an interview. And then left restaurants.
I do lots of menus, lots of drinks, lots of drink menus. I'm actually just been given approval to set up prospectus to turn a vault area in our bank into a speakeasy.
Oh, cool.
So awesome. I have to do everything to do that, but the drink menu, and that's going to be pretty unique. I'm either going to write it, or I've talked to a lot of my friends who are in the industry and are well known to each have them do a drink with their name, their bar's name, and their Instagram logo or tap right below it. The hotel's free advertising for them. So something like that. But in my experience of making menus, you have to make menus for usually seasonal, usually where you're working. I mean, the Irish pub drink menu is going to be way different than the nightclub drink menu, or than the fine dining restaurant drink menu. Also, in my experience, especially in the last 10 years, people have decided to make drink menus just off the internet, where they will take a drink and add an ingredient or change an ingredient and then change how the drink is made versus, say, stirred, served on a rock, to up and like, here, make this. And it's not balanced. It doesn't taste right. The cost is almost all the time prohibitive when people make drink menus.
I'm writing myself a note to make sure we have an episode about internet recipes, because I can go on for probably an hour.
Just by yourself, I'm sure.
Yeah. But yeah, just putting a drink menu together is, you always want to have variety. You don't want to just like, hey, here's 9 bourbon drinks and a gin and tonic. You really want to have a lot, especially nowadays.
Sure.
People's palates have really broadened in the alcohol industry, like really broadened. I mean, number one drink down here is an old fashioned.
Oh, yeah.
San Diego's a bourbon and beer town, and when people walk up for a drink, they're usually old fashioned.
Oh, cool.
10 years ago, yeah.
Well, inheriting menus from previous people, which is part of the game. Unless your name is on the door, you are executing somebody else's recipes.
Very
largely.
much.
And even the bar where I was the executive chef in Park City, I walked into a menu that not only had the previous chef's fingerprints all over it, but the guy before him. And I inherited this. It was a lovely dish. It was this little goat cheese medallion wrapped in thinly sliced potato, then broiled. And it was completely out of place with the wings and pizza oven, kind of bar menu that I had going on. And
So much of that.
yeah, even from just looking at the menu from a price point perspective, if you are the new chef, part of your responsibility is to cut the
Cost.
cut the cost, cut the items dragging your food costs down.
Yeah.
And the low sellers, even if, hey, maybe you love that dish, but it just doesn't move. Or maybe there is that one regular that you don't want to alienate by taking the only thing they come here for off the menu. But
yeah,
that's one regular.
The drink thing is different because usually when you'd have a drink menu, you have all of those ingredients in-house already.
Sure.
When I make a drink menu for a place, I use what's behind me on the shelf. I don't want to have to order in one bottle for 1/4 ounce of one thing to make one specific drink. That being said, I've had to get a lot of stuff put on my current bar because it just didn't have any mixers that I could make drinks with, where
Sure.
I want Amaros, I want Camparis, I want Aperols, I want all this other stuff, absinthe, things like that, where I know it's a 1/2 ounce, I know it's a 1/4 ounce, but you got me this bottle, now I can make another 20 drinks with the stuff we have.
Well, and really that you did brush on another point there is in creating a new menu, and I'll get to running specials in a moment, but in putting a menu item on either the bar or the kitchen menu, if it is bringing in ingredients that are not already there, where are you putting them? Where are they going to go on the line? Where are they going to go in the walk-in? What is the handling procedure if it's a new, different kind of seafood you're not used to? Or there are all sorts of other things to keep in mind. And especially, again, if you're running it as a special for a day or two, that's a little bit different than if you're putting a new menu item on, because most chefs will at least think about leaving a space on the line for the special mise en place goes here. Whatever that means.
That's a little overconfident on most.
Okay. All right. Well, I do when I try to set up my line.
So yeah, so like you said, when you're making a new menu, you got to make it fit. You got to decide your theme. And we've all seen it when you're talking about the potato dish with the goat cheese medallions and stuff, you go to a place and you're reading the menu and I immediately will see something like that doesn't belong. I'm like, Then I kind of want to try it to see why it's still on there.
Sure.
Honestly, it's just like if I'm going down like, oh, wings, oh, pizza, oh, goat cheese medallions, and again, I'd be like, yeah, I really want to try that.
No, I do have one restaurant in town, and I've seen it in other places too, that is a very specifically eclectic menu. So there's some Japanese items, some Spanish, some Mexican, some American, and a bunch of fusion stuff. And it is, as far as I can tell at the moment, the only place in Carson City to get cheese curds on a menu. So that's why I keep going back.
Oh,
fair enough.
I mean, that's a whole different menu setup where you're like a little taste of the world versus, like you described, like fried food and cheese medallion.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now, sure, we did have a very lovely summer berry salad on there too. It's not like everything was deep fried. A salad is still within the pub food genre. It still fits within the expectations of when you walk in. I'm surprised
you didn't add anything fried to the salad.
Oh, that's a good point. Oh,
now I want fried salad.
Because now I'm thinking about that specific menu. So there were 2 items that I put on that basically I did start running as a special, and they were popular enough with the regulars that they kept asking for it to be run as a special enough that I got the hint to just put it on the menu. My jambalaya, which I love a good jambalaya. And I had somebody from New Orleans ask me who made it. And I was like, well, that was me. Yeah, little white boy from suburban Chicago. And she's like, because this is legit. You've eaten proper jambalaya before. Like, yes, I've had somebody who knew what they were doing, show me how to make it, and that's how I do it. And I mean, it was really good. The other thing though was a Italian sandwich that it was salami and pepperoni and ham and mozzarella and a pesto aioli on there, which was great. And just and then tomato and mixed greens out. No, arugula. And one of my servers took that beautiful special that went to the menu item and added a burger patty onto it. And then that became kind of a popular way for some of the regulars to order it. And sure, I will also, I'll take the upcharge on that. Yes. But hey, you know what? Play with my food a little bit. That's fine.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a gut punch, but my partner is an author, and one of the things they talk about is it's only half of the experience of writing it. Once you release it into the world, you can't necessarily control what somebody does with your dish. I think the When Harry Met Sally scene was like all the stuff on the side and this substitution and that substitution, and then all of a sudden it's not even the same dish that you created, but doesn't mean it doesn't taste good.
Oh, sure. There have definitely been some times in my cooking experience where I have to close my eyes to whatever happens once that dish passes out of my hands. Once it gets to the customer and they start reaching for that bottle of ketchup or A1 or whatever it is, I'll just, okay.
Actually, one of my favorite stories was at a fine dining restaurant. I served an entire Cobb salad with all the ingredients on the side. Like, I literally brought out the mixing bowl, brought out every single ingredient in small ramekins and such. There were tongs there, the dressing was there, and I had the busser pull a table up next to the table, served everybody else at the table, and said, she's like, well, where's my salad? And I'm like, 2 trays came out, put everything down on the one table. I'm like, here's your Cobb salad, everything on the side. Enjoy. Yeah. And just turned around and walked away. And then she's like, well, who's going to make the salad? And her friends are like, well, you asked for everything on the side, so apparently you are. That's kind of how I saw it. I'm like, if you don't want us to put it together for you, I'm not going to do that table side serve. I don't have time to make a Cobb salad for you. I really don't.
Yeah.
I have chefs who will do that for you like that and do it a hell of a lot better than I will.
Yeah, exactly. They do it constantly. They're really pretty good at it.
Yeah, same thing. Drinks too. It's like, can I get this, but with like one ingredient on the side because I don't like it, and I'm like, okay, that's going to change the entire drink.
Yeah,
it's not going to taste anything remotely close as to what you think. It's not going to be balanced, which we can talk about in the menu thing a few minutes from now. Is balancing a drink is kind of one of the hardest things.
You know what?
To get it straight out.
Let's actually take a quick break here because we're going to get back to recipe testing because I think that's actually a really fun part, but also can be more work than one thinks. Anyway, stick around. We will be right back.